Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about how to choose a mutual fund. Now the question arises, what is a mutual fund and why mutual funds, right? So a mutual fund is a professionally managed investment fund which pools money together from many investors and then invests in either securities or commodities or even both. Now why mutual funds? The answer is simple. Here you don't have to do anything. You just have to do a SIP or a lump sum investment and wait. The rest of the things are done by the mutual fund managers. And here you can earn around about 15% returns annually. Now we look at the points that need to be considered while buying or selecting a mutual fund. Now I'll list down 5 points. So AUM and holdings, expense ratio, alpha, CAGR and Sharpie ratio. Now let's talk about AUM. Now AUM stands for assets under management. So this determines the total pool size of the money that has been collected in that mutual fund. And what are holdings? Holdings are basically the percent allocation done by the company in, let's say, large cap, small cap, mid cap, commodity, etc. All right. So the next ratio is the expense ratio. Now these are the expenses that are necessary or are carried out by the company in order to manage the assets. So salaries, management, then marketing, etc. Then we come to alpha. What is alpha? Now, alpha is defined as the percentage outperformance by the funds over the performance of the benchmark. So for example, if benchmark is Nifty 50, then what was the performance of the mutual fund compared to the benchmark, right? And benchmark is always categorized as 1. Now CAGR percentage. Now CAGR stands for cumulated annual growth rate. Now this growth rate is either calculated yearly, 3 yearly and 5 year, right? So this is how it is distinguished. And this percentage usually should be greater than 10 to 12 because that's how the GDP growth is, right? So if GDP growth is 10%, your CAGR has to be above 10%. Sharpie ratio. Now this is important. Sharpie ratio is basically the returns divided by the standard deviation. Now this metric considers both evaluating funds as compared to risks, right? So higher the Sharpie ratio, the better for you. All right. So now that we know what are the selection criteria that we consider, we will now try to give some inputs based on the selection criteria that we already seen. So these were the selection criteria. Now for each of them, we'll try to give some ranges, right? So for assets under management, the ideal range is above 3,000 crores. So that makes it a large cap kind of a mutual fund, which is good to have, right? Then the expense ratio should be between 0.4 to 1.7, which is considered a good score. The alpha should always be greater than equal to 1 because 1 is the benchmark. CAGR percentage should be around 15% and above. No brainer here. The Sharpie ratio. Now here, the Sharpie ratio should be between -1 to 3. All right. So now we have a selection list and we have ranges or inputs. Now using these two functions, we can input these two functions in any of the sites that are available and get a list. Now here is a list of top 10 mutual funds based on the inputs that we already saw. If you see the subcategory, it is pretty diverse. Some are hybrid, some are value funds, some are equity linked, some are thematic funds, flexi funds, dividend yield funds, etc. Right? And AUM, you can see average, it's above 3,000. All right, so you can take a screenshot of this screen and then do your own research and then invest. With that said, I thank you all for watching. Happy investing. Cheers.